Welcome to Winning Retirement TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Greg and Kristin Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group. And to our viewers at home, do you have questions about annuities? Are they a smart strategy for your retirement, or should you be running away from them? Today's show, we're going to talk a little bit about annuities, so stay with us. Greg, how are you today?
I'm doing great, and I am excited about today's show, educating people on this topic.
Yes, it's so important because people have a lot of questions. And Kristin, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I know that obviously annuities are such a hot topic when it comes to retirement planning. People have a lot of questions. They're nervous. Do they dive right in, or do they kind of pull back and wait a little bit? But before we talk about annuities, let's start with a fun fact.
Okay.
Sure.
I don't know about the two of you, but I have a love-hate relationship with my treadmill. Like, I love it, but then we put clothes on and it becomes somewhere that we just hang stuff, right? So this is very interesting. There's a fun fact. Some of you could be exercising right now on the treadmill. You're going to want to hear what this is, because this is interesting. The treadmill was originally invented in 1818 as a form of prison labor, designed for punishment for performing tasks such as grinding corn. I'm never going to look at the treadmill exactly the same again.
Well, you know what's funny about that is when you come into our office, you'll see that most of our staff have a treadmill in their office. So
like a full treadmill, or one of those that you put under your desk?
The walking pads. But
Yeah.
they basically run on them. They walk, and they have a standing desk that goes above it, and They
That's
came to
so
me one day
cool.
and said, "Hey, we've got this idea for these standing treadmills," and I'm like, "Okay, whatever. If you want them, get them."
And they use them.
They all use them. I mean, I
love
think
that.
there's 5 of them in our office at this point. So I don't know if maybe I should tell them about the history
Well,
of
because you
this.
can work and you can exercise at the
it's a
same
prison,
time.
but it's a prison.
Well, I use my treadmill 5 to 6 days a week, but I usually try to time it about the time Kristen's doing her yoga moves down in the...
I don't do yoga. What are you talking about? I do weight training.
You do, but other
Do I
things
need
too.
to get my guns out?
Your guns.
You do
Are they
have guns. You
registered?
can
I
have
don't know, but...
Well, hers are. So, but you don't clean the treadmill when you're done. That's the problem. That's why I don't use it, because I see all these sweat marks on the sides, and it
come
stresses
on.
me out. It does. By the way, I have some Band-Aids here. Our producer gave these to you because I'm always cutting you down. So here
Oh,
you go.
no, actually, literally a week or two ago in the office, one of our radio listeners came in and he said, "I expected to see Band-Aids on you, Greg, as much as they beat you up on the show."
When he said they, meaning us.
Yeah, Greg, one of the
Oh my
camera
gosh.
guys here, he gave us these because he thought that was pretty funny. So
That is hysterical.
I will be laughing all show over that, by the way. That was the funniest thing I think I've experienced.
Well, Greg and Greg is amazing. Both Gregs are
Yes.
amazing. So that is incredible. So, and I was thinking, I had to say this really quickly, because obviously with our Peloton, Tony's the same way. Like, he'll be like in this full force workout, and then he's like, "Honey, I'm done. It's yours." And I look at it and I'm like, "I'm
Gross.
good."
It's like the person who doesn't wipe down the equipment at the
Right,
gym.
I
It's
know.
a gym, even if it's at home.
Yes.
You still need to wipe it down.
Actually, I do.
Yes.
You have started to.
I have.
You listen to my
Well,
complaints.
okay, I need you to text Tony and say, "Please wipe down the Peloton."
right.
Cynthia is
All
asking.
right, I got you.
Thank you. All right, well, let's segue into the world of annuities. I know that a lot of people are interested about annuities, but why are some retirees considering using them, or why should they consider using them?
Well, I think, first of all, we need to understand what they even are. So an annuity is simply a contractual agreement between someone and an insurance company.
Okay.
And we're going to put money in it either on a lump sum, or we can make payments or installments into them over time, and they will promise to pay an income. And some of the incomes are for life. Some are, you can choose in many cases what you call a period certain. So if people are looking for income for a certain amount of time, they can choose that as well. So that's something that they can be really flexible, there's a lot of different types.
Right.
So just like there's a lot of different types of other types of financial vehicles, annuities are no different.
Okay.
And, think about our company pensions. Those are kind of what we would call an immediate annuity, where you put money in and they're going to promise to pay you income for the rest of your life. But when you are gone, or if you choose a spousal option, when the both of you are gone, then the money's gone. Okay, so that's an immediate annuity.
Okay.
Then there are fixed annuities, and a lot of fixed annuities are like CDs, meaning they pay a fixed interest rate for a fixed period of time.
Right.
Okay.
And you can choose a 2-year term, a 3-year term, a 5-year term, a 7-year term, a 10-year term. So there's lots of different terms, and you can lock in an interest rate that is promised to be paid to you every year for a period of time, just like a CD.
Okay.
Okay?
Then you have variable annuities.
Yeah.
And variable annuities carry market risk.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of the bad flack they get a little bit for that. They also have fees, and sometimes those fees can be quite large. And so that's some of the negative behind the variable annuities.
Okay, so varies in performance and varies in fees is what I'm
Yeah.
getting from that.
I'm
Okay.
having a hard time finding a positive about them, but you might have one. I try to
Well,
go back and forth
we'll
with all
talk
of
about
them.
that a little more
Yeah.
in the second segment. But
Okay.
But there's another type of annuity called a fixed indexed annuity.
Okay.
And those are protected from market losses. You don't get all the gains when the market goes up, and it typically links to a market index like the S&P 500 or the Dow or the NASDAQ. And you get a part of the gain when it goes up. Each year, in most cases, it will lock in a gain or you'll get a zero. And you can also add what's called a guaranteed lifetime withdrawal benefit, or those are sometimes called income riders,
Right.
that will give you income that's protected for your lifetime.
Okay.
So those are the different types. But it's important to remember that every kind of annuity, just like every other financial tool, has certain benefits and certain drawbacks. I call those strings attached. It's really important
analogy.
that people
Well,
understand
Yeah.
what the strings are attached, what to look out for. Because if you're making an important financial decision, and a lot of people that are making these decisions are right around the age of 60 or older, where these decisions become even more important. So you don't want to enter anything, especially an annuity, until you really understand why you should be in it, why it's beneficial.
Right.
So really what we want to do on today's show is help people understand when an annuity is appropriate and when an annuity is not appropriate.
So it's kind of like a tool in the toolbox, if you will. When you're building someone's overall retirement plan, you like to take a look at someone's individual needs, and then you decide if an annuity is right for them. It's not one size fits all.
It should never be one size fits all. And that's the problem, Cynthia, because we're in a world where we have what I call one-trick ponies. There's people that only sell stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. And in their mind, those things are the answer to everything, and they try to discredit other things. There's people who are only insurance licensed, and they try to scare people out of things like market investments, and they only want to put people in insured products like life insurance or annuities or things like that. And that's certainly not the right way to do it. The banks would be very happy if we would keep all our money at the banks, but that's not the right answer either.
Right.
So we really need to get unbiased, information from people to where we're not being led in a certain direction. We're not being sold something. In fact, I despise being sold something. I don't
That
like
feeling.
that. I'm very glad when someone helps me meet a need,
Yes.
but I don't want to feel like someone's got an agenda behind what they're offering me.
Yes.
I never like that. And when people are faced with that, I don't blame them for not trusting or not feeling confident about a decision.
Well, and that's what makes you both so successful. You're never selling anything, whether it be on the show or the radio show. You're serving others. And I've had the blessing of knowing you now for, 6 years?
Yeah.
And you're serving heart that the people can see in the audience. It's genuine. To our viewers at home, what you're seeing right now is what you get. Greg and Kristin genuinely care about you. Before I start tearing up, we better take a commercial.
Yeah.
To our viewers at home, there's a number for you to call on your screen, and that number is 614-336-7660. Perhaps you're in the viewing audience today and you're asking yourself, do I have annuities in my retirement plan? And if they're in there, do I even understand what type they are? Do I even know what I have? If you need to have a second opinion or a first look at what your retirement strategy will be, call in today to 614-336-7660. Again, it's 614-336-7660. We do have to take a very short commercial break here on Winning Retirement Television, but this is your opportunity to take control of your retirement future. Call in today, book that consultation, 614-336-7660. We'll be right back momentarily.
Have you been wondering if a Roth conversion is a good idea? Do you feel a lack of confidence in Washington when it comes to future taxes during your retirement years? You should probably visit testmyretirement.com. It's Legacy Retirement Group's latest no-cost resource for soon-to-be and current retirees. TestMyRetirement.com is super simple to navigate. After clicking on Learn More, you'll fill in a few pieces of information, and within 30 seconds, you'll see a personalized analysis of your total potential taxes in retirement using your existing approach, compared to what's possible with some adjustments. Every situation is different, but if you don't want to be in debt to Uncle Sam, go to testmyretirement.com to find out if you can possibly reduce your future retirement obligations. Get started now at testmyretirement.com.
Welcome back to Winning Retirement Television. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Greg and Kristin Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group. And we're talking all about annuities. How do you know if one is right for you and your retirement plan? We're talking about that today. I would love to ask you both a very important question. I know a lot of people sign up for, let's just say it's a steak dinner or a fish dinner, what have you, at a certain restaurant. It could be any restaurant, anywhere in the country, not just Ohio. And people come in for a dinner and they're sold something and they leave and they're told that it's annuity, but a lot of people don't even understand exactly what they have. So if they're in your viewing audience today and they've been working with another advisor and they don't know what they have, can they come in for a second opinion?
Yeah, we can even go deeper than that. We can offer them what we call an Annuity X-Ray.
Okay.
Where we can dive in, help them understand, first of all, what they have, the benefits and or drawbacks of what it is that they've purchased, how to maximize the use of it, and, you know, if it's not a good one, to see if there's a way to improve it.
Okay.
You know, especially people who purchased annuities 5 or 6 years ago. We were in a really low interest rate environment, and a lot of those annuities are not very competitive. So in many cases, there's opportunities for people to improve their situation.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for clarifying. I know people have questions about them. Let's talk a little bit. Obviously, there's two sides to every coin. So let's talk more in depth about the disadvantages of some annuities and also the benefits, the blessing, if you will. What should the retirees be watching out for?
Well, I want to start with the disadvantages.
Okay.
Because there are some disadvantages of being in this financial tool. And one is there are some types that have really, really high fees. And those types are typically the variable annuity type, where you have sub-accounts that look like mutual funds in the account. The sub-accounts have fees. Then you have what's called a mortality and expense risk fee. Then you might have an income rider fee. You might have a death benefit fee. You have an administrative fee. And we see those fees anywhere from 3.5% to 5% annually.
Okay.
And to be very frank on this, if someone told a family up front, you're going to pay 4% per year in this financial tool,
Right.
there's not a lot of people that would jump in line to sign up for that. So they find out later, and I've literally seen husbands and wives in tears in my office as we're calling the companies and they're finding out for the first time what it is they're paying in fees.
Well, and I think that that's so much deeper than what it seems like on the surface. It's more like I was told something, you know, I got this under the auspices of it was something that was going to help me, and you're telling me that I'm paying this large fee. Well, that doesn't seem like it's helping me, right? So they're not all created equally, and I think understanding that up front is important. Another disadvantage that I think we've seen people not be aware of when they come in and have us look at what they have is the liquidity factor of the annuities.
Yes.
And in a lot of cases, there's a surrender schedule. So you only are able to withdraw maybe 10%, maybe even 5% in some cases penalty-free per year. And anything above that is subject to a penalty of the withdrawal. So let's say you have $100,000 and a 10% penalty-free, then you can take $10,000 out penalty-free per year.
Okay.
But let's say you need to take that whole amount out, then that $90,000 will be subject to the penalty. And that schedule typically goes down per year, and in Ohio it's around 10 years typically.
Exactly.
But understanding that up front and making sure that that makes sense for your situation is of the utmost importance when you're trying to work something like this tool into your overall retirement plan.
Yes. Another complaint I've heard from about annuities from people is they can be very confusing. There's so many different types. Of each type, there's good ones and bad ones. And I have to sort through. I have a whole team that helps me sort through annuities. And I sort out the good and the bad. But I'll give you one instance. I had a couple come in and they said, Greg, our annuity is guaranteed 10% a year. It's going to earn it.
That was recently.
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
And I said, well, understand your annuity has two parts to it. Your annuity has the account value part and it has the income value part. The income value is what will protect your income for a lifetime. The account value is how much you can leave to your beneficiaries. I said the income value part will go up by 10% per year, but you can never cash that out. That's just part of the growth that goes into how much income you can get down the road. That was never explained to them that way.
Wow.
They were they didn't believe me, so we called the company together. And the company said, yes, that's how it works. So they can be confusing. Now, it doesn't make it a bad annuity. It just means that they were never really fully understanding what it was they actually bought. They thought they were guaranteed 10% per year in growth in their account value, which was never the case. So now, by the way, that doesn't make annuities bad. That just means that we need to understand how they fit into a plan.
Absolutely.
So the advantages are you can have income that you can't outlive.
Okay.
Now, there's no other tool that I know of that can provide that.
Right. And what I think I want to add a disclaimer there based on the claims paying ability of the insurance company, and that's important. So one of the advantages is also something that you need to look deeper into and make sure that this is an A-rated or A+ rated, A- rated company,
Yes.
a very well, highly rated company. You shouldn't have any problems with that.
Okay.
That's right. And so that's one of the things that's really important is knowing that you can protect your income. You know, one of our principles has always been protect your income, grow the rest. Okay, so you can't protect your income in the stock market. The multi-year guaranteed annuities are going to give people the opportunity to earn more interest than they can get in the bank. It's a fixed interest. They know how much interest they're going to get every year, but they can get a good rate for a longer period of time. So that's a benefit.
Okay.
No market losses, except for the variable type.
That's a benefit.
That's a benefit, right?
Yes.
And potential to outpace inflation. Just last week, I had a couple in my office for a review. They had always kept all their money in the bank. They would never invest in the market. They were looking for a way to get protected growth.
Okay.
Okay. So their account grew. Now this was just money they had in the bank. It grew from $152,000 to $189,000 in 2 years, with no risk of principal.
Okay.
So that was one of those things that yes, they were able to outpace inflation.
Okay.
So death benefits to heirs are benefit, and then able to help with long-term care costs.
Wow. Talk a little bit about that. I know we're going to take a commercial break, but it can help with long-term care costs. Is there a way that that's done?
Yes. So a lot of the, and I'll talk more about this next segment, but a lot of the lifetime income benefits have clauses. They're called chronic illness clauses. So they will double your income if you can't perform 2 out of 6 of your activities of daily living. And that can help you pay for the long-term care costs.
Great. I definitely want to talk about that more. Greg, thank you so much. Kristin, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, there's a number for you to call on your screen. That number is 614-336-7660. Do you need to have an Annuity X-Ray to really understand what you have in your retirement plan? This is the perfect opportunity for you to take advantage of this consultation today. There's no obligation. 614-336-7660. If you're rushing out the door, we've made it even simpler. Grab your smartphone, click on that QR code at the bottom corner of your screen. That takes you right to the landing page of Legacy Retirement Group, and you can claim your spot accordingly. You've worked your entire life to get to the retirement years, and you deserve to have peace of mind. You deserve to understand what's in your retirement plan, and you deserve to have a retirement plan overall. We'll be right back momentarily on Winning Retirement TV with Greg and Kristin Taylor. Stay tuned.
Thanks for watching our show today.
If you want to dig deeper into these conversations with us, you can always call
And listen to or watch our weekly podcast. It's on all the platforms.
Yes, it is. I'm just surprised you know. So how can someone find our podcast?
It's simple. Just search for Winning Retirement Radio or Greg and Kristin Taylor, subscribe, and then play.
I'm so impressed and proud of my tech-savvy husband.
Thanks, but will you check and make sure that I did this right?
Really? I knew it. It was too good to be true.
New episodes released each week. Search, subscribe, and listen to Winning Retirement Radio with Greg and Kristin Taylor.
Welcome back to Winning Retirement TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Greg and Kristin Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group, and we're peeling back the curtain and doing a deep dive into annuities today, and are they right for you? So on that same vein, I have to ask you a question. Help the viewers out. How can they know if an annuity is a right fit for their overall retirement plan?
Well, understand, we all need basically 3 types of money. We need money for needs, wants, and emergencies. That's our liquidity money.
Okay.
That's money we basically keep in the bank. And for retirees, I really ask them to keep at least $50,000 there for needs, wants, and emergencies, but hopefully more. We need money for income to replace the income we lost when we stopped working, to maintain our lifestyle. I call it lifestyle income. And then we need money for long-term growth. Now, I believe that the stock market can be one of the best places for our long-term growth.
Okay.
But I do not believe the stock market is the best place for income. So that's where annuities can be a benefit.
Well, and they're not a good place for income, especially for those who are worried specifically about outliving their money.
Absolutely.
Right? Because you can't get a guaranteed income from a non-guaranteed source.
Right.
So understanding that as you move through the planning process and figuring out what tools make sense for you and your family, it's important to say, okay, I really don't like risk as much as I thought I did, especially not for my income. I might need to look at other sources.
Okay. And absolutely.
And other people that might benefit from an annuity are those looking for higher interest rates than what they're getting at the bank. Because, you know, banks are starting to bring their interest rates down again.
Okay.
And we're still seeing pretty competitive rates in the fixed type of annuity. Those wanting more diversification, they don't want just everything at risk.
Okay.
Because there's basically 2 asset classes, where our resources are at risk, asset classes where our resources are protected. So there are annuities that focus on protecting income, and those are the type that primarily we would use a fixed indexed annuity with a guaranteed lifetime withdrawal benefit. And in many cases, those, and by the way, those lifetime withdrawal benefits can be joint. Okay, so it can be for a single person. It can provide the same income for a married couple. So
I want to plug in something there. I just thought of something that happened. Oh, it's been about 10 years ago.
Okay.
Maybe a little longer. It was when we first started on radio.
Okay.
And one of the stations we advertised on, I think at the time, it wasn't even our TV show station. They came in for an appointment. They wanted to hear about what we did. And so we had them come in. And Greg had to leave. And I was talking with the sales rep for a little while. And he's like, you know, tell me about annuities, because my mother had one, and all I know about it is that we were left high and dry. She had this thing, and she started getting income payments, and when she died, within 6 months, we thought we had this account with over $200,000 in it, and there was nothing left. How does that happen? Explain to me, how does that happen?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I had to explain to him, you know, that a lot of people are really... they think poorly because they didn't understand what they were doing or what they had when they took out their income. So what Greg's talking about is totally different than something that is called annuitizing, which a lot of people did.
Okay.
Where they would set up the income for maybe their life only. And it doesn't matter if the runaway garbage truck took them out a week later.
Just like a company pension.
Okay.
That money's gone now if you annuitize it for life only. There's periods certain where it's a certain number of years, where even if they died within those years, it would continue. Or there's life with, I lost my train of thought there.
There's joint life.
Joint life.
Joint life, okay.
So there's different ways to do it. And what his mom had done is she had taken it for her life only.
Oh.
And so even though she died very quickly, there was no money left to the heirs. So that's another area, I think, where people get a little
Right.
a bit jaded with annuities because they don't understand those differences.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's the difference between annuitizing an annuity versus just initiating a guaranteed lifetime withdrawal
Right.
benefit.
Yes.
So it's this lifetime income that we're talking about, but it's not the type that where the asset would be lost if we pass away.
Right, because now
Mm-hmm.
with this way, you're able to leave money to your heirs and make sure that you're set for life with your income if the money isn't gone by the time
That's
you pass away.
Fantastic.
So who might benefit from an annuity? Someone that's 60 and older who's
Okay.
trying to not outlive their income and not outlive their assets. Someone looking for a better rate.
Okay.
Someone looking for more diversification. Someone looking for protected growth.
Okay.
Also, those who don't have or can't qualify for long-term care.
Let's talk more about that.
Right now, I think we have 4 or 5 families that are using what we call the doubler benefit. And what that means is a lot of these fixed indexed annuities with guaranteed lifetime withdrawal benefits have that chronic illness benefit to where that if they go to a nursing home or if they can't perform 2 out of 6 activities of daily living, the income will double. And just recently, I talked about this several weeks ago, but I'll tell this story again because recently one of our clients that's been a client for probably 12 or 13 years, when they took out their annuity to generate $3,000 a month of extra income for he and his wife, I told them this has a doubler benefit for long-term care. Well, years went by, they were taking care of their handicapped daughter. Finally, the wife is down now. And the husband called me. He's like, Greg, pray for me. He said, I'm going through it right now. I said, well, talk to me, Jerry. And he said, yeah. He said, you know, my wife and I took care of our daughter who's handicapped, and now she's down, and I'm having to care for both of them. And he said, I'm at my wit's end. I said, well, Jerry, I'm about to get you some help. He said, well, what do you mean, Greg? I said, well, remember that income, that $3,000 a month you've been getting all these many years? He said, yeah. I said, well, now that income will double, but if your wife can't perform 2 out of 6 of activities of daily living. He said, well, she can't. I said, I'm about to get you some help.
Wow, and that's what it's all about. That truly is winning retirement.
Yes.
Greg, thank you so much. Kristin, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, most specifically, thank you for spending time with us today on Winning Retirement TV with Greg and Kristin Taylor. The number to call in is 614-336-7660. Book your complimentary review today or click on the QR code at the bottom corner of your screen. Be safe, be happy, be blessed. We'll see you back 1 week from today. Take care now.